Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to talk about Adore. And Adore is an upcoming early access roguelike creature taming game that is actually a lot of fun. And before we get into this, just full disclaimer, the developers actually gave me a early copy of the game to make a review for, mainly because I saw this game, I saw the trailer, and I was so intrigued. I mean, like, I've been super into monster taming and creature taming games. I've been obsessed with Temtem lately. Roguelikes are one of my favorite genres of games. So when I saw this, I was just extremely interested, and I gotta say, it blew my expectations out of the water. So first off, what is Adore? Well, in Adore, you control this player, and in it you can take control of creatures and tame them, and you use those creatures to help fight for you, because you can't fight for yourself. So you're constantly running around, and at first you can only have one creature slot. So you capture pretty much one of the first creatures you find, and then you can use it. So how you use them is, it's not like you just summon them and they constantly are out on the field and fight. They all kind of have one specific like attack pattern they do. So one might just kind of go real fast, you know, and make a hit or two and then come back. One actually has like a projectile, so you summon it and it'll kind of shoot these like homing orb things. And you know, some of them, you know, so there's a bunch of different creatures with a bunch of different attack patterns. And so you also have to focus on their health and stuff, because your health is technically tied to theirs. So when a creature dies, it doesn't come back, so you just lose it. You lose all progress that you had on it. And on top of that, you also lose some of your health in particular. So constantly these creatures are trying to attack you, right? And so if they attack you, you're going to lose health. But you also lose health if you let your creatures die. And so it puts you in a very interesting position where the creatures are almost the same as you. And so you can at any point instantly recall all of them, or, you know, one of them or multiple of them. And so it really makes them an extension of you. So you summon these creatures, they might get an attack or two in, and then you notice that they're about to get hit by another creature. And so instead of, you know, playing Pokemon, you just don't care if they get wiped out or hit or knocked out. You recall them because you don't want them taking damage, because if they die, they are dead and you've lost all progress on them, and then you take damage as well. And so it really makes a very interesting type of game where you're constantly analyzing the attack patterns of these creatures, and you're making sure that you keep your creatures safe. And I really like that, because, you know, going into this game, I kind of expected the type of game where, you know, you were just going to be yourself and you were going to summon these creatures and they were going to fight for you, and it was kind of be, you know, a real-time game, but, you know, more of kind of a turn-based. But no, this is, I mean, there's heavy movement in this. I mean, you're constantly doing rolls. So what ends up happening is, you know, you see a creature, you summon one or two of your monsters, and, you know, you roll to dodge something they did, and then you recall them back because you don't want them to take damage, and then you're close range with them, so maybe you don't summon your, you know, far ranging attack thing. You know, it's just you're constantly involved, and the creatures feel like an extension of you. And actually, in the controls, if you're playing with PC controls, it kind of plays like a MOBA, and that's why I tried playing with a controller and with the keyboard and mouse, and I have to say, playing with a controller is infinitely better, mainly because I've played about 1,000 hours of MOBAs in my lifetime, mainly Dota 2. And I'm used to moving with right click, but after a certain period of time, it's just, I don't want to anymore. But the reason I bring it up is because it almost feels like the creatures are an extension of you. It's almost like you're playing like a Beastmaster type character in a MOBA, because, you know, you have QWER, and there are all these abilities of these different creatures that you've tamed, and they all do their one attack, and you can summon them back with the same button. And so it's not micro or anything like that. You don't really have to micromanage things. You just have to manage kind of like the 3 or 4 creatures you have. And on top of that, it really makes synergizing teams really interesting, because there's constant decisions you have to make in this game. So you'll constantly find these little fountain things that can, you know, give you more stamina or more movement speed or more attack, and kind of basic things like that. And then there's shrines that allow you to either like level up your creatures or unlock a new creature slot, because like I said, at first you can only tame one creature. So there's so many different things to think about. You know, do you want to have just 1 or 2 creatures that you focus on and you just level them up, or do you want to have 4 and kind of just have a wide range of things? But if you have 4, do you have like enough stamina to do that? Do you really have enough stamina to be summoning 4 things? If not, maybe that's not the right thing to do, or maybe you need to get more stamina items, or, you know, get more of those from the little fountain thingies. On top of that, every single creature can, when they level up or get new abilities, they can get kind of abilities that are like synergistic abilities. So like one ability might say, well, if you have a beast, your mystic creature shoots 3 extra additional shots. Or if you have a beast, every time the beast attacks and gets a hit, this creature gets additional damage or gains additional energy. So you're constantly not only trying to figure out what type of composition you want in terms of going wide or going smaller, but you're also constantly focusing on the synergistics between all of the creatures. And from what I can see so far, it's not like every single creature has specific kind of perks it'll always have. I think that's kind of random. So sometimes you might have this one beast that is good with other beasts, but then sometimes that same beast, if you catch it, might be good with mystics or something like that. And so it makes every single individual game feel fresh, and it makes me feel like obviously there will be certain creatures that will be better than others, and there'll be some creatures that you like more than others, but it's never going to be like you're just following one specific guide. And on top of that, one thing I think that this game is incredible at is, in most games, say in most roguelike, so say we're talking about Binding of Isaac, if there's an enemy, you mainly are just learning how to take advantage of that enemy. You're learning that enemy's attack patterns, you're learning, how fast that enemy is, you're kind of just learning to take advantage of its weaknesses so you can kill it. And in this game, all of the creatures you can catch are the creatures that are fighting you as well. So not only do you have to, for every single enemy, analyze the disadvantages that the creatures have, you also have to analyze the advantages that the creatures have, because they are the same exact creatures you're using. So if you notice that this one, as an example, Abu is one of my favorite creatures so far, and it's kind of the long range one that shoots these like mystic ball things, and when you're fighting against that, you're like, okay, well, this is pretty easy. I just kind of have to get behind a rock and get cover, and you learn the disadvantages of that move. But then you also, when you have that creature in your party, you have to learn the advantages of how to take advantage the best you can of that creature and of its attack. And you learn that, oh wow, this is one of the few long range attacking creatures I have, at least unlocked so far. And you learn to take advantage of that. And I think that's so interesting, because I honestly can't say of a game like this that has made me think in that way, because, not only am I having to think about how to take advantage of the weaknesses they have, but you also have to take advantages of their advantages and what they're good at. And that really, really, really makes it interesting. And that you're constantly analyzing the attack patterns, and you're constantly having to learn, as an example, there's this one huge boar thing that I unlocked. I think it's one of the first creatures you unlocked. And it has these 3 or 4 attack patterns that are, really scary to fight up against. But you realize that when it's attacking you, you just have to, kind of get a little in close range and have it start doing its fury of attacks. And then you just roll away. But so that's kind of how you take advantage of its weakness. But when you're fighting with someone, you learn that it kind of I think there's some hit stun, and so there's certain enemies that you can just let it go full on and don't have to worry about it even taking a hit at all. And so overall, it's fascinating to me, and I really love that aspect of this game. And another thing that I really like about this game is, watching the trailers and stuff like that, I kind of expected a little bit it to be a fun concept, a fun game, but a little rough around the edges. But playing this game is so polished, and it looks really, really good. And honestly, I'm pretty impressed. Music's good as well, especially for it being, just coming out in early access. And the last main thing I want to talk about, well, 2 things. Firstly is the map. In a lot of roguelike games, you have to, there's multiple rooms, and you go from room to room to room, finding different items or upgrades. And this game is no different than that. But the thing is when you go into an area, you can't see the map. You can't even access it. But once you've cleared the area, you can look at the map, and then you can teleport to anything that's interesting in any of the maps. So any of the fountains, any of the shrines, any of the chests, and also any of the items. So say a health potion drops on the ground and you don't need it because you're at max health, you can just leave it there, go explore other things, and then maybe right before the boss you need health, so you can just open up the map, teleport, get the health potion, teleport back. And it feels really, really simple. And I know some players, in certain roguelikes don't like when things allow you to teleport like that, but as someone that has played literally about also 1,000 hours of roguelikes, mostly in Binding of Isaac, that I'm tired of just walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So to be able to teleport to everything, it just makes the game way more action focused, and you always have something you're intending to do. So, you know, you're either fighting something, or you're like, okay, I'm going to teleport to the shop here, then I'm going to teleport to the chest because I just bought a key, then I'm going to teleport to the health potion, and then back to the boss area and fight the boss. And you're constantly, you know, playing, doing something, you know, versus just running back and forth and back and forth. And it also makes you want to explore the entire area. And the last main thing I want to focus is the progression, because this is like a roguelike, rogue-lite type game, and I think one of the things that make or break those types of game for me is how the progression is. And so in this game, you can find these like little green shards, mainly by like fighting bosses or just by getting lucky and dropping them, at least as far as I can tell. And that allows you to unlock new creatures, new items in the shop, and then also new game mechanics. And by game mechanics, I've only unlocked one of them so far, but it just unlock this thing where whenever I have this creature, just any creature on the battlefield, and I hold a specific button, it like slows the game down, and it costs like that stamina kind of magic thing, but it's just very interesting. And I guess it makes sense because I was a little overwhelmed when I was playing the game at first, you know, because this is a very interesting type of game, so you got to learn the controls, you got to do everything. So I think it's very awesome that they're putting some of the mechanics behind, you know, the kind of progression. And also something interesting is obviously you have items that you unlock, and you can see them more in futures, you know, things. But when you unlock creatures, not only does it allow you to find them, but it kind of forces you to fight them, because when you unlock a creature, it's just in the game now. So it is one of the creatures that you have to deal with fighting against. And that also helps, one, not overwhelm you, because at first there's only like 7 creatures. So you only have to learn like 7 people's attack patterns and their advantages and disadvantages like I talked about earlier. But, you know, also it just constantly is adding new mechanics into the game and new attack patterns and everything like that. And I think that is really, really cool. So overall, I think at its core, at its base, this is already one of my favorite roguelike games, or just games in general of 2020, and this game has a ton of promise. I think obviously it could use a little bit more polish, a little more shine around the edges, sometimes going through the mini-map and I'm accidentally teleporting to places I don't want to. I'm sure I'll get better over time, but the UI for that is a little bit weird, especially on controller, and because that's mainly how I'm playing. And overall, I think kind of the tutorials could be a little bit, could explain some things better, because it took me about 3 to 4 hours to even understand what those like little shiny things at the top left of the screen are. I knew I got them from those fountains, and I just kept seeing them disappear, and I didn't really understand how that works. But I think how it works now is you get those from the shiny things that also give you one of the normal upgrades, and then when you go to a shrine, if you have one of those, you can use them. But I've never not had enough of those, so I don't understand the point for that. I don't know if there's other things, but I don't know if it explained it to that, and I just didn't know. But just that, and then also the map and teleporting mechanic, I kind of feel like I had to learn that on my own, and that's not bad. I learned it in 2 hours, but just for new players, I think that could kind of be clarified a little bit more. And then also something that is way, way, way long term that might not even be plausible. But I think a PvP mode in this game could be really cool, because you're already fighting against the creatures you're using, so you already kind of have that mechanic in the game. You're kind of, you know, I know it's hard. It's harder than just saying, oh, add multiplayer. You know, I know coding's harder than that, but I just think a PvP mode in this game would be, quite frankly, really, really awesome. So overall, I would highly suggest you check this game out if you are a fan of roguelike games, if you are a fan of like Monster Tamer games. If this game looks interesting, I would highly recommend it. As of recording this video, I believe the game comes out in about 3 or 4 days, so not too long of a wait, but I would highly recommend it, and I will keep playing it. I will keep looking and seeing what's updated in this game, because quite frankly, it is insanely fun. And if you are still watching this video at this point, I highly appreciate it. I know it's one of the longer videos I've made. I just had quite a lot to talk about in this game. I just wanted to gush about how awesome I think this game is, and I loved it. But overall, if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. New videos come out about twice a week, whether it's gaming reviews like this one, gaming news, gaming controversies. You can find it all here. And if you're having a great day today, I hope you continue having a great day. If you guys aren't having a great day, I hope you guys start having a great day. But either way, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. See you guys next time.